Hey, hi, hello, and welcome to the first episode of the Bull Devlog of 2024. To start things off gently this year, this is going to be a shorter one. So, I spent the first week of January working on a project for my day job, and I feel like I've just started working on Bull again, and like this, 2 weeks have already passed, so sorry for the missing uploads, and, well, what have I been up to?
After aimlessly digging around in the project files for like 2 days and mulling over what to do next, I started to get a creeping realization that with my progression speed, I might have overscoped the whole thing a teeny tiny bit. And when I got the info that our semester end event, where our courses present the project to the public, is going to be held in early instead of late February, I had to face the fact that I am way behind schedule. And what do you do in this situation? Right! You start working on the dumbest part of the project that I was looking forward to from the beginning. Yeah, it's time to work on the Mech Exterior in a first-person game where you might never see it. So I started sketching a reference from the side and front view. I played with two main ideas here. One based on the A7V tank of the First World War, and the other loosely based on the shape of a bullhead, while trying to incorporate some of those early tank features. I ultimately chose the former because I couldn't help comparing the second one to the AT-ST from Star Wars. With a somewhat workable reference, I booted up Maya. And got to work on shaping the hull and legs while trying to use as few polygons as possible. As I mentioned in the very first episode, I want to go for a late 90s 3D look, so any rounded surface has only the absolute minimum of corners, and any details that do not impact the silhouette in a major way, like these trenches on the thighs, are going to be painted on later. Once I felt comfortable with the first result, I went over it again and tried to reduce the poly count even further. Any purely round object would get 5 or a maximum of 7 faces all around, and any unnecessary cut on a flat surface would get removed. Then it was time for UV unwrapping. I don't think this is a life hack or anything, but a small tool that I like to use, especially for unwrapping models that I plan on texturing with a low-res picture, is a simple pixel grid you can set up yourself in Photoshop in a few minutes, just so you have an easy reference on pixel density and can measure the distance between UV shells at a glance. And that was the first week done. Last week, after I managed to get some directions from our animation professor, I went on to learn to rig, and it was... But I managed to emerge on the other side with an improved grasp on Maya as a whole, I think. A thing I am personally very proud of are these pistons on the inside of the legs. They use two joints that sit outside the regular skeleton and use two aim constraints to constantly look at each other. I spent almost an entire afternoon solving a problem where they would start to turn in weird angles and finally understood the importance of rotation order in 3D space. It's always the same, from gameplay programming to rigging. Rotations are always a pain in the ass. Well, that was a whole lot of work for... nothing? So, why did I do all of this? First of all, I just like the idea that I have the option to show the mech from the outside, if I ever get around to doing that. Then it helps me to time feedback, like steps, camera shakes, sound effects, gives me hitboxes for the enemies to aim at, and also is the most natural way to get some movement swaying to sell the feeling of a lumbering colossus, once I have the animations up and running. Also, it's work I wanted to learn and improve on. I had to sketch, model, unwrap, and rig. That's quite the broad range of activities, and as cliché as it sounds, learning is fun. And last, I just enjoy the knowledge that it's there, if that makes any sense. Here, to bring up a gamer brain comparison. When building something in Minecraft, for example, I also dislike leaving quote-unquote unrealistic hollows in whatever I build, and I tend to fill them up with stone or dirt or whatever, just to know that it's there and it's not just a facade. So, could I have spent my time more strategically? Sure. Do I want to? This week, I'll work on the animations, and once they're done, I'll go on to texture the thing. That's all from me for now. Don't forget to like, share the video, and subscribe for future updates, and I'll see you all around.